Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Locked In Podcast, episode 1 of season 2. So, from here on out, I'm just going to be saying season and episode, along with some details about what each episode is about, and then we'll go around that way. Also, first video version. It's not going to be the best quality, I feel like, for now. But we will get there, and we're just going to test it out. So make sure to follow me on YouTube at SirSageYT, and you guys can watch it there. Otherwise, you guys can go ahead and listen to it however you're listening to it right now. Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, all that. So today on Season 2, Episode 1, I am joined by Jordan Howe. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a pretty good day.
Yeah? Pretty good day?
Pretty good day.
I haven't ever had Jordan on the podcast. I've tried to have you on here, I feel like. Or have I not?
I don't remember.
I feel like there was a couple times where I tried. I know you guys know Seth. Seth was on here for fantasy football talks and all that, but Jordan knows quite a bit about it too, was playing in our league, so he'll have to be on here for some of those as well. Come around this year, because we are coming up on football season. I'm excited. I'm very excited.
I'm so excited. More for college than NFL, because NFL is kind of always the same.
You know, the only reason I really like watching NFL now is because of fantasy football. That's it.
That's about the only reason, but it's like the NFL is so predictable compared to college.
It really is. Like right now I could go through each team's schedule and I could most likely predict what's going to happen.
I can tell you right now, top 2 teams, top 3, Bills, Bucks, Rams, guaranteed.
Most likely. I think the Bills have a really good shot. Mark, quote me on this, okay? Go ahead and quote me on this. I think the Bills have a really good shot this year. They did last year, though, too, also. But, I mean, and the Rams obviously have a really good shot at repeating.
Oh, yeah, so repeat.
And then Tom Brady, of course, comes back. He doesn't have the targets he used to, though.
Yeah, so he did get Julio Jones, though.
Did he get Julio?
So he's got Julio, he's got Mike Evans.
There's been so many. I would need to take a step back and make a whole episode on all the trades that have happened this year.
Oh, for sure.
It's absurd. Like, for instance, the mega one when it first came out is Tyreek Hill going to the Dolphins. I find that funny. I find that so funny, dude. Tua Tagovailoa, he's got to step his game up for Tyreek.
Yeah, because Tyreek's a deep threat.
They had Jalen Waddle last year too, and he's still there, so that'll be good. That'll be a really good one.
But I feel like Tyreek's more clutch in the deep game and everything, and Tua, his arm is not that good.
Tua's okay.
He's average.
I think he's a lefty quarterback, which you don't see too often, which honestly has nothing to do with anything. But I think he's better than most people think he is. I still don't think he's great. So I guess this will be a breakout year for him. This is going to be with the targets he has now. This is Tua Tagovailoa. You show us how good you are,
right?
And that is it. Like that is the only way from here on out that we're going to be able to tell. So.
I feel like because he got drafted a couple years ago.
I think it's like 2 or 3 years ago now.
2 or 3 years. Yeah, he hasn't had a spectacular season.
No,
and that's coming from an Alabama caliber quarterback. They're usually pretty solid. Obviously, look at Mac Jones. He came out of Alabama. One thing though,
let's say something here, and I feel like I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I think that Alabama quarterbacks are really good in college, and then come to the NFL and aren't the best. Like Mac Jones is doing fairly decent.
He had a pretty good rookie season. I feel like after about 5 years or so, they start to
they fizzle out. I don't.
For sure.
I don't know. I name one NFL quarterback right now that came from Alabama that's starting and playing extremely well. I don't think there is one. Mac Jones is going to be the best chance that they have.
I feel like Mac Jones is going to be a good quarterback for the Patriots for a while.
Yeah, and the problem is too, a lot of Alabama's quarterbacks are really good in the running game too.
Oh, for sure.
So they might switch up when it comes to the NFL too. So it's just like the whole Denard Robinson thing too. Yep. He started out as quarterback, and when he went to the Jaguars, they switched him to wide receiver. So it's kind of like all-purpose guy, but they switched him there. So I don't know. We could go on and on about just. Honestly, at the end of the day.
Straight Alabama
quarterbacks, all the trades that have happened, all the new rookies. I can be completely honest right now and say I don't know. I haven't followed the draft this year like I did last year. So I don't know a lot of the rookies that are coming in. But
I feel like one of the biggest ones that everybody was talking about was Aiden Hutchinson.
Aiden Hutchinson is
from Michigan to Detroit.
He was the number 2 pick this year, right? I think they were the number 2.
I believe so.
Do you think see, this is one thing I've touched on too before. I don't think a defensive end is going to change your whole team. Like,
not at all.
Like, I don't think it's a great pick for a number 2 overall.
No. The Lions need to
They just need playmakers, dude. Yeah. They need playmakers.
Their defense is what kills them. Like,
their defense. So,
their
offense
at least they is solid. That. They got a pretty good offensive line.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not the best because their pocket.
It's not the worst.
It's
not
fast.
The best. That's for sure.
And Jared Goff or Stafford wasn't too horrible.
Yeah.
But Goff is a pocket passer, and the pocket collapses way too fast. But
yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
He's gonna have a great season.
Did you see that they're on whatever? God, I can't think of the name of that right now. The one where they follow a team through training camp.
Hard Knocks?
Yeah, Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Did you see that? They're the one. Have you seen any of the episodes yet?
I've seen a briefly.
I want to watch that. I want to see, because I remember watching the Rams way back when.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're Super Bowl champs a few years. Maybe in a few years, Lions will be Super Bowl champs. I'm not a Lions fan, but are you a Lions fan? No, you're a Ravens fan.
Ravens
fan.
The Lions, you got to root for them.
You got to root for them because we're here, right?
Yeah, we're Michigan, born and raised, so you got to root for them. But no, I couldn't care less about the Lions.
I couldn't care less either. I really don't care.
But switching to college now, Michigan State all the way.
Yeah, right down there. That's a little Michigan State helmet down there for the people that are on here, if you guys can see it. Over by Jordan's leg, I have a Texas helmet. I used to be a Texas fan when I was little, so I put that one over there. But I'm not a Texas fan by any means. But if they win the Natty Championship soon, I've had this in here. So there you go. But speaking of which, dude, I'm so excited that I have the setup that I have now. This is awesome. I love this. I recently got into sneakers, so this is on here.
We both recently got into sneakers.
We'll jump ahead to the shoe check right now. Jordan's got the UNC Jordan 1 highs.
University.
University.
Jordan 1 high University blue. And with black laces. Obviously they have the blue laces.
Right.
I'm thinking I might put one in each.
I kind of like that. I kind of like the one in each though too.
Yeah, also. So I might do that.
We'll have sneaker episodes on here.
Oh,
definitely, for sure. I have the Hyper Royals on right now. I like these.
Solid colorway.
Kind
of mad he got those before me, but it's whatever.
These are pretty sweet. I think both of these are pretty sweet.
They're probably some of the best colorways that there are.
They're very close. They're close, but they're not close at all to each other. So, but that's the shoe check today. I'll be wearing a new pair of these probably every episode, and we'll give a little shoe check. But yeah, guys. So the misconception of high school sports. That's what I want to talk about. That is going to be the broad topic for today. Okay, we're gonna jump into a couple other things prior to it. Jordan was actually, when I posted this on Instagram, at official_locked in podcast, guys, you guys can see everything on there. When I posted that on there, Jordan's like, I want to be on this episode. So
I have a lot to talk about.
I have so many things, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the misconception of high school sports is the broad topic. Like, it sounds like it's narrowed down. Like, there's one misconception, but there's not. Like, there's a million misconceptions. I just want to tell everybody that right now, so they don't think I'm saying one specific thing.
And it's not even in just one particular sport.
Right.
Like, we're talking about football pretty much today.
It's high school sports.
High school sports in general. There's, different schools have so many different sports. So we're not going to be talking about just, football in general. It's going to be every single high school sport that we can think of.
Everything. And so we'll jump into that here in a few minutes. But the last episode I posted on here, guys, was December 30th, 2021. So that's how long ago it's been. And it was episode 30. So I stopped the first season off at 30 episodes, which is pretty good. It was over a pretty long period of time. But mostly the last 15 episodes, I'd say, were about fantasy football, too. So we're going to definitely have fantasy football topics on here, and we're going to continue with that when it starts back up, but just a heads up with that. And then I love talking about NFL football, news. So we're going to start this episode off prior to talking about misconception of high school sports, and we're going to go ahead with the news about Deshaun Watson, okay? So I'm sure if you guys have heard anything about the NFL or know anything in the least bit, you know that Deshaun Watson has been going through some stuff, right? So as of last week, Deshaun Watson was on a 6-game suspension, okay? So he was just going to sit the first 6 games. Well, now the NFL appealed it, and they're looking into more time off of him. So, meaning possibly a season long at the minimum of it. So the Browns are considering a Jimmy G if that happens.
Oh, jeez.
Good old Jimmy Garoppolo. But dude, I just don't even know what to say about that topic.
Deshaun Watson should have just sizzled out when all the allegations came through. Anyways, like I'm pretty sure 90% of them were true, and the Browns.
You never know, dude. You never know. I'm sure a lot of them were, and it was something about like. What was he touching people when it was
sexually assaulting massage therapists?
Massage therapist. What the heck, man?
I saw something the other day on Instagram that said something about when Deshaun Watson wants to get a massage, he has to do it through the Browns massage therapist. He can't go anywhere else.
I saw that.
I was like, that's awful. Like Deshaun Watson,
he doesn't need it.
No,
he can stay at the Browns. That's fine.
Right, he was a solid quarterback at Houston. Houston wasn't as bad as they are now. But I really feel like the Browns really messed up.
Wait, Deshaun?
Yeah.
He was at Clemson.
I'm talking about Texans. He played for the Texans before all this stuff happened.
Right.
The Browns really messed up by just throwing Baker to the Panthers like that.
Oh, 100%.
I feel like Baker's going to do pretty solid at the
right now, based
Panthers.
on everything, I would rather have Baker than Deshaun, especially with all these allegations. Right. I can't believe that they had the audacity to go out here and say, here's $275 million and not even know if he's going to play. And
he's got. Exactly.
I think that's all guaranteed, too. That's a problem.
I'm pretty sure it is.
So that's, dude, I just wanted to bring that up because I wanted to give my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, and it's like Baker's a top 10 quarterback. I don't care what you people say. Baker's top 10.
I'd say Baker's right there at like 9-10 in the league. And that's not, I mean, the top quarterbacks in the league are good, and they won't be surpassed anytime soon. No. But there's not very many great quarterbacks right now.
No, so Baker's, he's good.
He's up there.
He is
up there.
He's pretty good.
That's for sure.
Like, he turned the Browns around like that.
Yeah.
Like, when they drafted him, they went from 0-16 to, I mean, they didn't have a winning season when they drafted him, but, like, the past couple seasons, they've been playoff caliber, close to playoff caliber.
Yep.
They haven't been losing as much as they did before, so.
Right. Well, that's that one I wanted to touch base on, but
you can't change my mind about Baker. He's a good quarterback.
I agree. He's definitely not the worst. That's for sure. And he's not the best, he's not the worst. He's somebody that I would sit on for a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
And they seem to just want to throw him out of the curb. So I'm curious. Caleb Snodgrass was on here quite a bit. I'm curious. He's a Browns fan on what his whole opinion is on this. I haven't talked to him recently about anything like that. So I want to know what he thinks. But going into one prior to get into our main topic today. Frank Gore, okay? Number 3 on the all-time rushing list, okay? Did you know that? He played forever. He's 39 years old, okay?
Yeah.
And he just retired. 16,000 rushing yards, okay? So, number 3, just behind Emmitt Smith and Bo Jackson. Or Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton, sorry. Listen to this headline. You ready? I'm going to read it just how they wrote it. Ex-NFL star Frank Gore dragged naked woman by the hair across the... just let me finish this. Dragged naked woman by hair across Atlantic City hotel hallway. Dude, I thought I was going to be able to hold that together, but I was struggling, man. That headline just makes you say, what?
What?
It's absurd to me, dude. Like, he's 39 years old. He's technically a free agent, but he's pretty much retired from football. Number 3 on the all-time rushing list.
He had a solid career.
He did. He was all over the place, but he was solid.
Yeah, I'd say towards the end of his carear, he was bouncing around here and there.
He was a solid running back, though.
He was.
But, man, what? And so I looked into it a little bit, and he's charged on simple assault charges right now, as the time being. But, you know, all these NFL players, like, who in the right mind just starts dragging, she was some 28-year-old chick across it was like the 56th floor, dragging her across the hallway of it, like,
especially being naked. Wow.
One can only presume what was going to happen, or what was happening. I don't want to know what the argument was about and how it escalated to that point. So I'm gonna just not acknowledge that. But
I kind of do want to know how it escalated.
I kind of do too, honestly. It's just something I saw yesterday, and so I wanted to put into the podcast because I read that headline and I'm like, oh my god. Okay. Because he, like I said, he was solid. So, but all right, guys. So we are gonna get into the mega topic now. Okay, and like I said, very broad topic, even though it sounds like it's straight to the point. Misconception of high school sports. Okay, I'm gonna give my quick spiel about it, and then I want you to start going with yours. Okay, so my view, misconception of high school sports. Okay, I'm gonna go off of what I'm thinking it is, and that is from my perspective, the fact of that I was always working for a scholarship, right? That's what I was always doing. I was always working to get a scholarship, even ever since I was like 7th grade. And so the thing that I want to tell every single high school athlete right now that has, a couple years left, even one more year left, is don't fall into the misconception of high school sports are to set you up for a scholarship in college, because it takes all the fun out of it. Okay, and now being that I wrestled a year and a half in college, stopped wrestling, came back home, wasn't dealing with the knee pain of the sport anymore, right? I wish I would have done some things differently. I really wish, right? Because looking back, I didn't play football my senior year because I was injured. But if I look back, I would have played football if I could change it. Obviously, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I would have not, I probably wouldn't have. Went to train for Fargo, tore my UCL in my elbow. I probably wouldn't have done all this, okay? So that means I would have probably just been where I was at, where I won Flow Nats, right, one state, and then I would have just started training football. So yeah. I would have been ranked. I was ranked number 9 in the country. I would have been fine with that. I just went and started playing football. It's because in the reality, that's what I wanted to do, and the main reason I decided not to is because, and this is the funny thing, I don't want to get hurt, right? Or I don't want to jeopardize my scholarship that I had at that point. So instead of doing that, I just said, I'm going to just wrestle my senior year. I ended up getting hurt, not doing either one, my senior year. But at the end of the day, my big thing is don't fall into the trap of taking high school sports so seriously and just working for a scholarship. Like, just don't do that. It's try and have fun with it, right? I am not a good basketball player. Shoot, dude, if I wanted to play basketball as a freshman, sophomore, whatever, go ahead and do it. Right? Just have fun with it. Do what you guys want to do. Don't listen to your coaches. Don't listen to your parents. It's honestly, obviously listen to your parents, but don't listen to them when they're trying to tell you can't do something.
Right. And that's your decision.
Right. At the end of the day, it is what you want to do, and it's supposed to be fun. And if you're at a high level, I know it's hard to be fun, but I really wish that I would have made those adjustments and had somebody say these things to me. Prior to me going on and doing everything I did, because I feel like it ruined the sports for me in a big thing. And that's a problem nowadays too, even little kids, right? All these little kids, they're training. Dude, you're going to get so burnt out. Especially one sport, right? If parents, and I know somebody that does this, okay? They let their kid decide. Their kid thinks he wants to just wrestle right now, okay? That's not good. He's 7, I think he's 7 years old, okay? I just want to wrestle. He's not playing flag football. I'm like, dude, play flag football. You're 7 years old. You don't need to just wrestle right now.
Right, because you never know where just wrestling is going to take you.
Right. I mean, just do everything you can, especially when you're that young.
Oh, for sure.
Do everything you can. Shoot, I hate soccer now. I would have played soccer when I was 7 years old. I don't care. Just get me into everything.
Right. When I was 7, I was getting my parents to let me do any sport they could, any season. Football, baseball, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is something that's so misunderstood nowadays. And the only thing I can say that would counter my argument, okay, is if you are not, if you're really good at one sport, let's say, for instance, you're a track and field guy or something, okay? So, that's it. So let's just say you're a really good runner. Well, you want to be a doctor in college, okay? Well, if you can go get a scholarship to run, and then obviously you're going to be a doctor, then that's a different story to me.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you want to have a scholarship because that's going to be an expensive degree to get. Now, for me, I had no idea what the hell I wanted to do. I really didn't. So, and I still technically really don't. I want to do so many different things with my life, and it's just hard to narrow it down. But I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I went into a sport administration one, which really doesn't do crap for you. And I got a scholarship to go do a degree I'm probably never going to do anything with if I went and finished it. So the only counter argument, if you want to be a vet, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a physical therapist, chiropractor, anything like this, then go ahead and by all means take your talent to go get that scholarship to save you a lot of money there. But unless you're just like, if you want to just do a basic thing or whatever, just play all the sports you want to in high school, dude.
Exactly.
Have fun with it. Have fun with it. Like what? Go ahead with your side of things.
So mine's kind of piggybacking. So whatever the word is. Mine's I can't think right now. Mine's kind of similar to yours. Mm-hmm. It's high school sports. Coaches try so hard to make you college caliber athletes. You know, they're like, oh, you're going D1. Oh, yeah. Coaches will lie.
Yep.
They will lie straight to your face like, oh, you're D1. D1 recruits D1 recruits need to have certain, like, specs. Like, I'm talking like a little football here. Mm-hmm. Like me. If I want to go play D1, I was too undersized. Mm-hmm. Being an offensive lineman, you know, even centers at Division I are 6'4", 6'5", and then you got the guards and the tackles. Guards are like 6'6".
You got to be huge. You got to be huge, right?
Oh, for sure. And even for defensive linemen, you know, there's some that are around my size, but it's still like you got to have, your size matters, like your weight, your height, different things that the scouts will look for. So most coaches will try to push that, and they're pushing you so hard that you get burned out, and you're on the verge of like, I'm done. I want to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. So my thing with that is the coaches that push you way too hard ruin the fun of it. Yep. Like, I loved playing football. I played football since I was little. I loved having, my dad as a coach when I was younger. Yep. But once I hit middle school, it was like, okay, I'm going to high school soon. I'm going to try to step it up. I want to go to the league. That's every kid that plays football's dream.
Right. My dream. I was right there, that helmet down there. That was my dream.
Yeah.
I was 6-year-old Sage. I'm going to be a quarterback for Michigan State University. That was where my head was at.
And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but a lot of times your dreams will get crushed in high school sports.
One way or the other.
One way or the other. Like, if you're a freak athlete, you're running like a 4.2 and you're like 6'6", like, it's a lot easier for, skill positions to go D1 rather than, linemen.
Linemen, pretty much, you got to be big. That's the first aspect.
Huge. Yeah.
The first aspect. You could be, for instance, what are you like? You're like 6'1", right?
I'm 6'2".
Okay, 6'2". And what were you in high school? Like
in high school,
240, 250.
My junior year, I was around there. My senior year, I was beefed up about 275, 280.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
It was like, it wasn't fat.
Right.
It was,
you were just big.
Beefy.
That's 6'2". So the thing is there, right? And I think this is absurd. I think this with everything, right? I was originally going to be, I was always a running quarterback my whole life. And so I'm pretty much 5'11". I'm right under 5'11", okay? So, and now I'm 185. And I think Russell Wilson is pretty much me, right? Mm-hmm. I'm pretty much the same size as Russell Wilson. So I still had the idea that I could, and I think I could have been, right? I don't think, obviously, most quarterbacks are 6'3" plus, honestly. And it's the same thing with linemen. And they do this in the NFL draft every year when I listen to like recaps or when they're looking at certain people. Why are you so focused on somebody's size? Why are you not so focused on their athletic ability or even like the combine? I think, so the combine, everybody judges a lot of things off of.
Yeah.
Okay. Me being if I was a recruiter, if I was, let's say, for instance, I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan. Let's say I'm a recruiter for the Seattle Seahawks. Okay. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to look at the top guys in the draft, and I'm going to go back through and watch their play-by-plays. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. Exactly. I'm not going to go to the combine. Oh, this guy only benched 225 for 13 reps. I don't want him. That has nothing to do with what you're doing.
It really doesn't.
The one thing it has to do with is a defense lineman and offense lineman, and usually they're high numbers,
strength,
right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. So if you're a running back, running backs mostly are too, but let's say a wide receiver. Wide receivers probably have the least amount, okay, for when it comes to that. Or corners or whatever position on defense. Nothing that pertains to what you're doing, okay? What is this? Like benching in the combine is just proving blocks, and that's why I think it's mostly a lineman thing, right? Or coming through on a defensive line. Why does 13 reps on 225 matter, or why does this guy's broad jump matter, right? As if I can go back and watch him play football and play football good, you know?
Exactly.
Like, why does it? I've never understood that, and I don't understand it still to today.
It doesn't make sense. It should be about your playmaking ability, your athleticism,
everything that football actually is.
What
right?
football offers, like broad jump.
Yeah.
Why do you need broad jump?
Yep.
Why do you need vertical jump?
Yeah. Even that, yeah, right, exactly.
Like, it makes absolutely
no sense. If you're
a
wide receiver or something, yeah, you probably want to have a higher jump, but it still doesn't change how good of a
for
football
linemen,
player.
what do you need to jump for?
Right.
You don't need to.
It tests a lot of your athletic ability, but it doesn't test how good of an athlete you are when it comes to the game of football.
It doesn't test how good you are in the moment.
Let's talk about Tom Brady's 40-yard dash, for instance, just in one. His whole combine performance was god awful.
Yeah, 6 rounds, and now look at him.
Now he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
People, like, dude, that should be the biggest thing. Right
exactly.
There. Tom Brady, dude, the guy that's going to be considered the best quarterback of all time. And I don't think anybody will ever pass him. I really don't. Not anytime soon, at least.
No, not at all.
And not in our lifetimes, I don't think.
No.
So the fact is, the best, technically, I don't want to. What do you want to say? Do you want to say the best player in the NFL? It's hard to just say that because he's not the best player, but let's just say the best quarterback.
Yeah.
Best quarterback of all time. Okay. His whole combine performance was god awful, and we're still going to sit here and say, "Wow, this guy did this at the combine, or this guy did this at the combine."
Right.
I don't get it, dude.
No, and it's like I said, he had a god awful combine, and then he went 6th round.
Yeah, like one of the very last picks.
Yeah, he was close to the.
Or he might have been. I don't even remember. He was like the second to last or the last pick or something.
Yeah, he was super low in the draft.
Yeah,
but that didn't prove like he had pretty good stats at Michigan, and he came into the Patriots. I forgot who he was behind.
Some guy that doesn't even matter at this point.
Right.
Probably had better combine stats.
Probably.
So.
And then that guy got hurt, so Tom Brady went in, and that just absolutely kickstarted his career.
Right.
And now look at him.
Yep. And that's the thing too. He didn't let that, because a lot of people like, for instance, I'm not going to say I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, I'm such a Tom Brady. I'm not really a Tom Brady fan. Okay?
No, I respect him for being an amazing quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. You have to respect the hell out of him.
Exactly.
For what he's done and what he continues to do, and he plays with that chip on his shoulder, right?
Exactly.
That's what he did all the time. And for instance, I go back to this one because he said it all the time, right? Gabe Dean, right? He was a smaller quarterback in high school and went on Georgia Tech, and he's, if you guys know anything about that whole story, he pretty much tried out for like 10, 15 minutes, and then they were like, yeah, go ahead, and pretty much told him he wasn't going to play, right? Or like, yeah, we'll see you. And then he went and was a 3-time finalist, 2-time national champ, right? So, and that's the thing too. I saw this the other day. I'm obviously quoting other people here, but The Rock, he was saying he was 22 years old in the Canadian Football League, wanted to play in the NFL. Have you seen the video that I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, he sits there and he says, and then I get cut 2 days later after our first game. It's like, what? Like, that's my dream. But a lot of the things with these people like that succeed in these high levels is their plan is to always do something, and it's the best thing that never happens, right?
Yeah.
And that's what The Rock said it. That's the way he said it. It's the best thing that never happens to you. That always seems to boost you. So, yeah. And going back to the misconception of high school sports, man, it's crazy to me how serious people take it nowadays. And if you want to be a competitive wrestler, football player, whatever, that baseball player, anything you want to do, yeah, you do have to focus on it and train heavily on it. And there's a lot of people that really enjoy it. Then if that's you, like I'm saying, I'm not saying don't train one sport in high school because you want to just have fun. Like, that's probably what people are thinking, okay?
Yeah.
I'm saying if that's what you want to do, and like in the bottom of your heart, and people aren't telling you to do that, and that's just what you want, yes, by all means, go for it.
Pull the trigger.
But don't listen to everything else that people have, dude. Because I know a lot about wrestling. I'm a wrestling coach now. I enjoyed wrestling when I wrestled, okay, but I loved football more. I really did. So I wish, like, in my love for football, like my whole backstory, obviously you know this, the same guy that probably tore yours down, right? Your love for football.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So that's a different thing for me as well. But when I went and finally had my breakout junior season, when I actually had fun, right? And that's the thing. My junior year football season was so much better than my first two, and that's because it was more about fun. It wasn't you messed up this play, F you, F that, you know.
Right.
It was literally fun. And that's it.
And going back to that, I think coaches have the most to do with what you want.
Coaches and parents have the biggest impact.
Coaches and parents. Like my parents, they were supportive every sport I played, everything I did. My dad, Friday nights, every game, never missed a game. Wrestling meets, never missed one. Or I mean, he probably missed
every once in a while. Right?
Every once in a while, like, you know. In high school, we would go up to the UP for a tournament. I mean, he didn't come to every single one, but my decent seasons, you know, my junior, my senior year, he came up because that's when I, you know, was actually kind of good.
And playing.
Yeah. Right. But, and then, like, you know, lacrosse games. I was my first year playing.
I forgot you played lacrosse. Yeah. And that's one of those things I'm telling you. Right? Is like you wanted to play lacrosse because you thought it'd be fun. So you played lacrosse.
Nobody was telling me, like, oh, you shouldn't do that. It was like, I told my parents, like, hey, I'm going to double up sports my spring season, my senior year. They're like, go for it.
Right.
They supported me every step of the way. Mm-hmm. And so that's like coming back to the coaches and everything, like football coach throughout high school kind of dissolved my love for the sport. Yep. Deep down, I will always love the sport of football. It's always been my favorite sport. But then going into wrestling, great coach, great guy. He made it 100 times better. Yep. Because he wrestled and everything. And
made it fun, though.
Yeah, exactly. He made it fun.
And it's being a coach now, okay? It's a hard line, right? Because what you're in, and I think that's a major thing with, obviously college coaches, for instance, okay? And that's another. I'm going to switch the misconception of high school sports to the misconception of college sports in a second here. But the coaches have to try and produce the best athlete, okay? Yeah. No matter what. And if you're at that practice, they have to produce the best athlete they can out of you. So it's a fine line between fun and pushing, okay? And that's where I think coaches, like you were just saying, the biggest impact does come from them. And that's because they, at the end of the day, truly determine for you how much you enjoy that sport.
Exactly.
And it's the hardest spot to be in as a coach, and coaching is one of the hardest things to do, right? Because you have to develop an athlete, and you have to develop a young man or young woman. Okay. Yeah. And that's truly what it should be about, is developing a young man or young woman into a great young man or young woman, you know, and also having them grow as an athlete in that way. And usually, if you're developing them in that way, then the success will come with it. Exactly. Most of the time, right? And it's a hard line between fun and pushing them. But all the best coaches I've ever had, somehow, you know, whether it was, and I had a couple coaches, right, that I hated, and I had a couple ones that I really enjoyed, ones that would drop F-bombs like every you know, right now, boom, 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 just dropping them on you. But then they did it when it was strategic, right? Yeah. When they knew it would push me. And some people don't operate like that, right, with people yelling at you. Mm-hmm. But it's also a different thing. Like, I operated at that time, in that moment, and he knew how to do it, right? But when it comes to our football coach we had, he didn't know when to do it, when the right time was for it. You know, he would drop it, and it's just like when you really need some motivation. I think having somebody sit there yell, you know, not necessarily yell, but yelling strategy at you, you know, that's when it's the best coach.
Exactly.
So, and it's, like I said, it's a hard, fine line to me as a coach.
And coming back off of that, there's a very fine line with coaches that are pushing you to be the better athlete and absolutely forcing you to be a better athlete. Like our football coach, he was forcing us to be the best we could be. And that's kind of when you're like, hey, you know what? I thought, you know, I would be decent athlete and be able to have fun.
Yep.
But if you're not enjoying your sport, you're not having fun, that's when you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. You start to absolutely despise going to practice. I mean, games are a whole different story.
Yep.
But even
games and matches, anything like that,
right.
it's a different story.
It's a whole different story.
Because you still enjoy that sport overall. And when you get to do the, whether it's a tournament or match or whatever.
Right.
Or
games, Friday Night Lights. Who doesn't love that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
that's a different aspect. And that's probably the only reason we continue to play it, right?
Yeah.
Even though we hated every other step of it.
You show your actual true love for the sport is in those moments. Like, our
if you're
football
being
coach.
Forced, right?
Yeah, our football
coach. If you're
coach.
forced, you can't do anything to your best ability.
Right. He would, just shove everything down your throat. He's like, if you don't do this right, you're doing this. If you don't do this right, you're doing this. It's like, that's not how a lot of people process. That's how he wanted people to process.
Right.
And that dissolves it.
Yep.
Then, like, wrestling. I'm going to shout him out, Greg Dykema. He was one of those coaches he would push you, like, to be the best athlete you could be. It worked for me a lot because there'd be, hey, we're doing this for this long. As long as you can do it, then we're going to, chillax for a little bit.
Right. And again, it's a fine line because you have to push them, but you have to give them some freedom.
Exactly. And like Fridays, you remember Fridays in high school wrestling, we would, half the day, like half the practice, it was, we're busting our butts, we're doing this, we're doing that, full speed, all that, like first hour and a half. And then the last bit of practice, he was like, all right, let's go.
Yep.
We're playing games.
Yep.
And I feel like that really built up your morality and your love for the sport. I know, like, going into my freshman year, I was convinced. I was like, I'm going to be a hooper. After football season, I'm hooping. I got a quick reality check when they said, nope, you didn't make the cut. I was like, dang. But my dad
I was a big hooper back then. I'm just
kidding. My dad would talk to Dykema all the time.
Yeah.
And my dad was finally like, I'm not going to force you to do it.
But try wrestling.
But I really feel like you should try wrestling. It will make you a better football player. I was like, all right, I did. I absolutely fell in love with it. Yep. Like, my freshman year, obviously, my first year, I wasn't very good. But I kept getting better, off season, between training for, the in-season sport I was in. I would, off season, open mats and,
finding ways to get better. And
exactly.
And that's the thing too with wrestling, football, like you said, they aid in each other as well. So if you can find one that supplements the other one, makes it more enjoyable as well. Because then you're making yourself better out of season when you're playing another sport. So
right, and it's like once like back to the whole coaches making things worse. Like if they would push you as hard as you can, you will do everything in your power to not want to do off-season training, to not, make yourself better in that sport and just be absolutely the most average you can be.
Exactly. And that's the main thing, man, is like between everybody that will listen or watch this and between you and I, life is too damn short, dude. It's too damn short to sit there and hate what you're doing, right? And that's why I'm bouncing between jobs, and that's why why I stopped wrestling when my knees were killing me to the point where I could barely walk, right?
Right.
I stopped the things that are making my life in a way hell, right? Because you have to, it's not saying that you have to enjoy everything you're doing, right? There's things that you need to be disciplined for and that you have to do, right? And that's something you need to do for your family, for yourself, whatever.
Right.
Those are different. But these type of things, right? Sports in general, that is something you should enjoy. And nowadays everything's taken out of it. And now I want to jump ahead to some college stuff, and you can give input on this too. Even though you didn't do a sport in college, you still, I'm sure, have went on visits, right? You were thinking about playing football in college.
I had multiple visits for multiple places, but
right, exactly. So I went Division I wrestling, right, small school, and I can personally say, just from other people that I've talked to, okay, so I know one other guy, I'm not going to say his name, I might have him on this podcast. in another state. But again, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because I don't want to expose that on here. But he talked to me the other day. It was through Snapchat, right? We were Snapchatting back and forth. He has to have another surgery, and it's because his coaches didn't listen to him when he said, I can't do this, right? Or this hurts. They pushed him to keep doing it. Same with me, right? I was told I should never run again, right? And I ran a lot on my knee when I shouldn't have. And that's when I could barely get out of the shower, right? Mm-hmm. And so when it comes down to college athletics, okay, and high school is obviously the beginning of it. But when you finally get to that college point, where I finally got to, my scholarship, right? I take a step back and I immediately understand now, at least for Division I sports, and where I was at. It might be different in some other ones, right? I'm not saying every coach is like this, but I'm saying majority, or a lot of people I've talked to, their coaches are like this. You are a number and you are a tool for them to look better.
Yep.
Okay? And I will say this multiple times, right? You are a number, you are a tool to aid in the supplementation of I'm this good coach, I'm this great coach, right? It's just to make them look good, right? That's what you are. You are nobody else except for making them look good. You're not a name to them. If you're hurt, oh well, you know what? Get up, right?
Right.
Get up, whatever. Keep running. Keep doing it. And it's not the right thing, dude. It is not. No. It is not right, because that goes back to, and you're young when you get into college, right? Mm-hmm. You're still young. You're technically 18, a man at that point.
18, 19 years old.
But you're still becoming a man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most important stage right there, right? That's when people go from, all right, so let's say, for instance, this wasn't me, right? I wasn't a partier. But let's say I was just this the whole way, right? Through high school. I was training, just going to school, right? Getting good grades. Oh, I'm here. Well, I hate my life, my bad grades, and partying. Boom, go that way, exactly. Right? Or you have a good mentor and a good coach, right? That's a good human being and actually gives a, I've been swearing more on this podcast than I ever have, but I'm going to, but actually gives a shit about you, right? And I got to say stuff like this, man, right? You got to say it to get the point across. You actually have to have somebody that gives a shit about you.
Exactly.
You can't have a coach that doesn't, because or tries to push you through injuries that you have, that you know your own damn body, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't take the bad grade and the party path because they're not a good mentor for them. You got to take this way, where you're going to go ahead and you're going to be on track, or at least doing the best you can in school, right? Getting good grades, whatever that means for you. It's different for everybody. And becoming a better man and athlete, right? You got to take those paths, and you have to have somebody that gives a crap about you as a human and not as a tool or a number, right? And that's the thing that a lot of college coaches are. And I'm not saying it for everyone. But again, when I got to college, my freshman year, okay, I decided to wrestle in college. I messaged somebody, again, not going to be exposing names on here because I don't know if they want me to do that. But I texted somebody because I wasn't enjoying what I was doing, okay, wrestling in college for that first year. And this was like 4 or 5 months in. I was thinking about playing football. Right, I was thinking about being a dual sport athlete in college, and it was Division I, and then it was Division II football. Technically, is what it was. So, it's not 2 Division I sports, but it's still hard being a Division I anything with another sport on top of it. So I was thinking about doing it though, right? And obviously, you could split the scholarship up in a couple different ways. Whatever, it might be easier on the program for wrestling and for football, whatever. So I messaged him. I'm like, hey, listen, I thought I wanted to wrestle. Coaches take the fun out of wrestling in college, and I think that's a lot with every sport. A lot of bad coaches take the fun out of things, okay? I want to play football. What do you think I should do? I messaged this guy, okay? Because he did both of them at a Division I level for wrestling in the Big Ten, and then went to a Division III school and played football. He said, play football. Coaches take the fun out of wrestling. That's what he said to me. This is the text. I literally still have this text, or in my direct messages, I think it was. I still have that in my phone. Play football. It's way more fun. Coaches take the fun out of wrestling. Why didn't I hear that prior to me doing that, right? Why didn't I hear that prior to me committing to go wrestle at a Division I high level of wrestling, right? Whatever level you're in, whether it's NAIA, Division I, 2, 3, whatever. So why didn't I hear this? And this is why I'm hoping, I wanted to get this out sooner, but you obviously got this set up now and we're getting this in. I'm hoping that people will listen to what we're saying and hopefully have a mind for their own. I know in this day and age, it's hard for people to have a mind of their own. It really is in multiple different areas. Not going to get into that. Yeah. But, dude, just try and make your own choices and what you want to do, especially when you're young. Especially when you're young, man. It's when you're going to learn what you're good at and what you like to do, and hopefully you can move on with that. You know?
And if you do get to that college level, you're getting scholarships. I'm going to go back a little bit to what Sage was saying about coaches giving you just a number and all this other stuff. That is one of the things that will turn you away from that school, no matter you got a full ride, you got partial scholarship, but the coach is just going to be like, here you go. Here's this. Here's your number. Whatever.
No, and one thing, too, though. All college coaches are used car salesmen.
Yeah, pretty much.
They aren't going to show you who they truly are, and that's why it's the hardest thing. Yeah. I wish that every college coach that I went to and took a visit to was themselves. And I think a few of them were. I will say that, okay? I think a few of them were. But when I didn't commit to some of their schools, I found out who they truly were, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was, really, you're not going to come take an official visit to our school? What are you doing, right? Or, all right, if you think that's the better opportunity for you, I wish you luck.
Exactly.
That's when you find out, dude.
That is.
And I wish that I would have known a lot of this stuff, right? And you can't truly know that. And so that's why I'd take anybody, any sport, any division, take caution in deciding where you want to play if you're playing a sport in college.
And it's like, one of the things I was thinking about as you're talking about that was, what do you see on Nick Saban when he does recruiting for football for Alabama? You don't see a whole lot.
Dude.
You go look at Mel Tucker, all the stuff that he does for his recruits on their visits, their commitment, everything.
Yeah.
He's, got him on the field. He's got a bunch of different cars for him and everything. And, the difference between Mel Tucker and Nick Saban, they're great coaches. That's obviously why they're the two highest paid coaches in college football.
And obviously Nick Saban's got the championships right now to prove it.
Right. So. He's just that strict, down to business coach. Mel Tucker, he's the strict, down to business, but wants the kids coming in to know that he will do everything in his power to make them the best athletes.
Best young men.
Best young men. He's going to develop them from young men to men. Obviously, you look at some of the players that have come out of there.
Yep.
Even in this last draft, he had, Speedy Naylor, Connor Hayward, was it Connor?
There are a lot of people that were there, too, prior, because he's only been coaching at Michigan State, this will be his third year?
Third year, yeah.
Yeah, so, he's not been there, but you could see already with the progress that he's made with the program.
Exactly.
Right?
He's flipped that program around.
And that's the thing, too. I want to ask you about this. This is completely off topic in general right now, but what do you think about the NIL deals that people are getting now? Because I know Nick Saban, okay, so Alabama is a very high-caliber championship-winning program, okay? But they still don't have the money that other schools have, right? They don't have the money that a USC would have, okay? So let's say I'm a young kid coming out. I'm a 5-star recruit. Let's say I'm a quarterback, okay? All the attributes, height, weight, all this stuff, arm, everything I need. What is telling me, right? Because football, sports in general, are a here and now deal, right? Because, for instance, I was a state champ. I did well prior to that 8th and 5th, right? I was hurt my senior year. I had a pretty good high school football season. Was a national champ for wrestling, all this stuff in high school. Nobody gives a shit, dude. Nobody cares now.
No, they really don't.
It is, every sport is a here and now thing. So let me ask you this about the NILs. Why me coming out? I'm all those things I just said, right? Why would I not take an NIL deal worth $1 million or $2 million to USC, or go to Alabama, or a bigger school that's better in football, that I know I'd probably do better at in the long run? But why would I not go to a USC for a couple mil in NILs, because that's a here and now money, Why? That's the hard thing too, and I think Nick Saban touched on it a little bit. I've heard news about it. I haven't heard him personally, but he doesn't like it, right? Because you can't get the recruits that you want now, because all these other people have all this money or this donor money.
Yeah,
right?
they're just dishing it out. Like, hey, come play for us. Here you go. NIL deal.
Yeah, exactly. Here's $1 million. Come and play football for us.
Kids will be like, coming out of high school, let's go make a couple mil just by playing football.
And you can still succeed at those smaller programs.
Yeah,
too.
Probably won't, you
won't get a team title.
Anything.
Right.
Compared to like, turn down the money and go to a college that will make me
an NFL star.
Right, an NFL star, a freak athlete. And it's just, I think it's kind of dumb.
You think the NIL is dumb?
I think it's pretty dumb.
But, again, put yourself in those shoes. You're 18, 19 years old maybe, even younger sometimes, coming out of high school. Let's say 17 to 19. You're probably going to take a couple mil. Especially if you're coming from a situation, right, which a lot of really good football players come from. Not a good situation. You're taking the money, dude.
Right.
Like, all day. I mean, personally, I would have probably taken the damn money, too. Why not, right? Because
I just feel like it's how you want to look at it. So it's like your perspective of it. So like my perspective, it's not going to be the same as, somebody that grew up, hood, single parent household. Like me, I grew up,
full family and a good
full
environment.
Family. Yep. Right. So I would be like,
You take a normal scholarship and go play for a higher school?
I feel like, I would, because I'd be like, this is going to change me, and I will more than likely end up in the league, no matter what sport it is.
Right.
So it's like, football, basketball, you're going to get rings. It's going to look good, and you're going to be going NFL high round. So it's like, honestly, I can see the difference between, obviously, like I said, like me and, somebody else.
Somebody else
like,
that came out of the projects or whatever.
Right. Like, I grew up, I had a shitty childhood. Well, I'm going to take a couple $1 million and maybe go to the league rather than somewhat guaranteed going to the league. At like
that's a big thing too. Is like me coming out of college. I think I was 18, or high school. Sorry, coming out of high school, I was 18. Yeah, I would have taken it. Somebody came to me in like small Division I school. Hey, here's $1 million contract. Come wrestle for us. Hell yeah, I would have taken it. Right. Yeah. If I was number one in the country, had all these accolades, I would have done that. Well, and it's another thing, too, though. Wrestling, you don't have the opportunity to make the amount of money that you do in the NFL, right? What do you have after college wrestling? You have small Flow National match, or Flow Wrestling sets up a thing, and you wrestle against some other really good guy, right? Or you go to the Olympics, that's it.
Yeah. Or
you wrestle world team stuff, and you hope on getting really good sponsorships that pay you well. That's it. I mean, so that's a different thing, right? No college wrestling, they might give you tens of thousands, depending on who you are. I don't know. I really, truly don't know what wrestling scholarship kids coming into college are getting for NILs, but football is obviously different.
Oh, yeah.
So, but still, even then, if I'm coming out, like I said, that quarterback that I was just saying a few minutes ago, I'm probably taking it, dude. I probably would, because you never guaranteed, especially me knowing all the injuries I've had, right? You never know if you're even going to be healthy enough to make it to the NFL, right? Yeah. So you gotta play all these factors in. So I don't blame these kids that are going to these other schools because they're getting a higher NIL, So I just wanted to throw that out there because I think it's a legitimate talk, dude. It's like, if you're coming out right now and if somehow you guys are watching this or listening to this and you guys are a true, I'm going to go play in the NFL guy, and you're, a 4 or 5 star prospect, 3 star even, and you're getting an NIL deal sent to you, I'd probably take it, dude, because you never know.
Well, like I said, it's just like,
it's different perspectives.
It's just depending on who you are as a person. It's like, what do I want to do? It is a serious decision. Like,
oh, it really is.
Do I want to take the money and use that?
And usually it comes with a contract too,
right?
That you have to stay there or something. I'm presuming. I'm hoping.
I would imagine so. Like, like, here's this much for, this season, or like this year. You have to be there
for 2 years, and here's $500,000 or something.
Right. Here's $500,000 for your first 2 years, $500,000 for your last 2 years, and it's like,
Yeah.
I would whole imagine that's probably how
I think it's a dangerous thing though. That this like I'm all for the NIL. Okay, being the fact of that I was pretty much a couple of months into college before I left college when NIL was a thing, and I was gonna get some for sure. Believe me, you can bet on that. But all these guys that are at Alabama, like I think Alabama's quarterback got over $1 million in NIL. That's dangerous, dude. Having a college kid and staying in, a college campus with $1 million, or millions of dollars.
Yeah.
That's scary. Like, what type of stuff could go down.
Yeah.
Right? Just knowing I was at a small college, so just imagine a college like Alabama.
For sure.
What stuff's going down there with this kid that has all this money, or these multiple kids that have all these money, right? So it's a scary thing. I'm presuming there's going to be many stories coming out about these kids that are taking these deals that are going sideways now.
Yeah, because especially if they're only doing NIL deals for a single sport,
right?
What's that gonna do to the kids that are a different sport, same level, same athletic ability? Like, how are they gonna feel about that single sport getting it?
It's scary, dude. It's scary. But yeah, so anything else you want to touch on misconceptions? Or, like I said, it seems like it's straight to the point, but it's a very broad topic.
It is a very broad
and we can
topic.
Always come back to it too. I'm sure you'll be on here quite frequently. I just want to keep, like I had a couple NFL stories at the beginning, right? Talked a little bit. I just want to have a broad topic that we're going to try and narrow down on, but a few other stories here and there. So that's the plan here on out. And I think we can conclude season 2, episode 1, right there. The misconception of high school sports, guys. So thank you so much, Jordan. And we look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks for having me. I plan to be back. And whatever topics you got for me, I bet you I have some stuff to talk about.
Oh, yeah. there's a lot of them, man.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of sports talk and a lot of random topics.
Just random stuff. So. Who knows? We might have a whole episode on just sneakers.
We will. I think that's a good idea, man. You got to get
just a random episode here and there.
So there's a lot more involved into that than people think too, because I was never a sneakerhead per se.
I had my oh yeah,
your moment.
These are my kicks. Nobody's got these, and it's like, dang, now everybody's got these.
How about those ones in the bottom middle on my shelf here? For the people that are watching, you'll see the Nike Blazers, the white and black. Yeah, everybody has
them. Actually, when I was at the mall, I was at Finish Line, and those Air Maxes I sent you.
Yeah.
I really like those. They had a pair of Blazers. Never seen them before till now. They were kind of like a cream color.
You probably should have got them because
I should have.
They're unique.
They were sweet.
They're like those Blazers I got over there.
Yeah, your pumpkin Blazers.
My pumpkin Blazers. But again, there's so many pairs that are distinguished, unless it's a limited edition $2,000 shoe.
Right. Yeah,
which
wouldn't be me.
We're not buying it. So
no thanks.
But yeah, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks again to Jordan, and we will catch you on season 2, episode 2. Peace.
See ya.